Today, I wanted to share with you why I think you should be talking to your Muslim child about Halloween during the early years, especially when they're under 12. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons as to why I advocate for this. The first one is none other than clarifying misconceptions. As you can imagine, Halloween is one of those holidays that isn't directly tied to another religion, like how Christmas or Easter is directly tied to Christianity. Therefore, it can be confusing to kids because why would it be harmful to wear costumes, collect candy, and have fun with our friends? Well, that's where your job comes in. And this is where you share a lot of information and stories about the origins of these things. And that takes us to our second point, which is to preserve their Islamic identity. You want to be sharing this information with them, and you want to open up this dialogue based on what they're observing in their environment so that you can reinforce their aqidah. Because the truth of the matter is, Halloween is a pagan holiday. A lot of the traditions of Halloween go back to elements of shirk. And that's why it's so important for us to start having these conversations with our kids, not with their teenagers, but when they're really young. And the reason why I say that is because children observe their environment. And when there is an inconsistency between what's happening in the home and outside in the environment, it creates a sense of confusion to our children from an identity perspective. Now, every single child will go through an identity crisis eventually during their later developmental stages. So our job as parents is to set that strong foundation so that when they do go through that identity crisis between who they are, what they're seeing in the environment, how they were raised, they can reconcile between all of these concepts and remain steadfast on the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for us. The third reason why I think you should be talking to your children about Halloween is none other than peer pressure. Now you might think, well, my child doesn't go to public school or my child is homeschooled, so they're not even exposed. But here's where I'm going to remind you about the power of media. So even though your child's not going outside, maybe you even live in a, Muslim majority country, don't forget the power of the media, especially in this alpha generation. Technology and the media has become a core component of their lifestyle. And that's why it's our job as parents to give them the knowledge and the information they need so that they can navigate their environment in a way that's conducive to what we are taught in the Quran and the Sunnah. Remember that your child forms who they are within the home first and foremost. And that is why you as the parent, you have to take ownership, accountability, and leadership around what's happening in your child's environment. It is your job to set up principles and protocols on how to navigate these holidays within your home first and foremost. It is your job to turn off that Halloween-themed video and to say, hey, you know what? That's not for us. Let's find something else. And finally, one of the benefits of doing this work early on when your child's 4, 5, and 6 years old is that you're going to start to begin to teach them how to critically think, especially when it comes to their faith and their Islamic identity. When you do this in an early age where they learn to be critical of what they see in the outside, because you're going to be teaching them that no matter what they see in the environment, it is their job to take ownership and responsibility of their religion and their faith. And that boosts their self-esteem and self-confidence. Because what you're teaching them is that they can't just take anything at face value. It is their job to do the research and try to understand, to really see, is this something that belongs to me or is it something that belongs to someone else? And when you begin this discourse within the home and within one of the safest relationships in the human experience, which is between the parent and child, then what you're doing is you're creating new pathways in their brain. You're creating new ways of thinking, which will then benefit them later in their future. And in case you are worried and you are overwhelmed and you don't know where to get started, don't worry at all, because I've done the work for you. I teach this workshop to children between ages 5 to 12. Some parents even took it with their children who are only 4 years old. And I teach them directly about Halloween. And I use the opportunity of Halloween to reinforce concepts of our aqidah. The workshop is available to you. You can grab it at 60% off. And remember, we're doing all this work to preserve the fitrah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already instilled in our children. It is our job to protect our children's Islamic identity as it's growing and nurturing during the early years. As ultimately, although you might think a few Halloween activities is harmless, Remember that the person who's going to be held accountable about the choices we make for our children before they hit puberty is us. We're going to be asked about it on the day of judgment as parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us, what have we done? How did we abstain from paganistic rituals? And how did we keep our offsprings away from shirk? That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe and you hit the like button if this video resonated with you. And if you feel like you want to share this video, please make sure to go ahead and share it. Share the workshop as well and enjoy a weekend of fun learning that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a hands-on interactive workshop that I've created that children absolutely love. It's one of my popular workshops. The link is going to be found inside the description down below. Let me know in the comments what other topics you would like me to talk about, and I can't wait to talk to you guys soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.